Hey guys, so we've got something a bit different for you today. Now, whenever anyone comes around to our flat, they always ask how we can afford such a nice place, because usually we're paying a lot less than they are, despite the fact that our flat's a fair bit nicer.
So today we're going to go through a few tips and tricks on how to get a really affordable flat, but actually a really nice looking flat as well. But first, let's go on a tour around our flat and show you what it looks like.
So we pay around £700 per month. Now, for those of you who don't live in London, that might seem quite expensive, but for London prices, and particularly for living somewhere quite central in London and quite nice like we are, that's actually very, very cheap.
Now, we actually do know a couple of people who live in a similar type of flat to us, but they pay roughly £1,000 each if they're staying in a couple, so our place actually is very affordable for what it is. So one of our friends actually lives by herself and she pays £1,400 a month, which is a lot of money to be spending just on rent itself without any bills anyway.
So that's double what we pay, and the flat isn't as nice either, so living on your own is a bad idea. So the first obvious trick about living in London is you have to live with people. Obviously, if you're just living by yourself, the flat is going to be so much more expensive.
So we both individually pay the same amount as our other two flatmates, but our room is quite a lot bigger and we have our own ensuite bathroom which only we use, which is really good.
But an even better thing to do is live with a couple. We are a couple and we are living with two other people, so we are living in a 3-bedroom flat with 4 people, and we get the master bedroom. And if you do something like this, guys, it saves you a ton of money. And so what that does is it just cuts down the amount of money you each have to pay. For example, if there's 3 of you living in a 3-bedroom and say it's £3,000 overall, then you'd be paying £1,000 each. 3,000 divided by 3 is 1,000. But if there's 4 of you living there, including a couple, then that's dividing by 4 people, so a £3,000 flat would actually be £750 each. So you're saving £250 a month, which is pretty decent.
So yeah, our best trick is to definitely try and find a couple to live with, because obviously then you split the rent with more people and the bills with more people, so overall it just works out a lot cheaper. So another thing to take into account when you're trying to make your rent cheaper is where you actually live, so the location of your property.
Yeah, so we live only a 10 or 15 minute train from very central London, but obviously we're not living in the very, very centre. And a lot of people make the mistake of trying to live in very central London, like within London City or within kind of Piccadilly area, the real kind of central place, which is going to be so much more expensive.
So the north of London and the east of London are probably the places you want to look at, because they are a lot cheaper. Last year we lived in East London. It was considerably cheaper than anywhere in central London, and the same with the north this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot better for your wallets, and it's also really accessible. From East London you can easily get to Liverpool Street in like 10 minutes, and from North London you can easily get to King's Cross in like 10 minutes. Even if you're by sort of Manor House, which is where we are, it only takes us 10 minutes on the tube to get to King's Cross and 15 minutes to get to kind of Oxford Circus area. So we're really close to the very centre, but because we're not actually living in the centre, we save a lot of money.
So our next tip to find a really good flat like ours is to do some research. There are so many websites you can look at, and you just need to spend time going through all of them.
Yeah, so we probably spent about 2 or 3 weeks pretty much consistently going through for a couple of hours a day all of the websites, finding all of the new listings for all of the flats which look good and are pretty good value. And we made this big Word document which had probably 100 different links to different house listings, and we just went through, and every day at the end of the day we would call up the companies and try and book a viewing.
So there are so many housing websites you can look at, but the three main ones that we have used this year and last year were On the Market, Rightmove and Zoopla, and they were definitely the best ones that we found.
So we suggest putting a very large radius around London, so just type in London and then set your kind of radius to 3 miles or 5 miles even, and then set your maximum price, and it will come up with 100 or 200 or 500 listings. And then just go through, find one that's a good value and also looks really nice, put it down in a document, copy the link, and then just go on to the next one. And a final thing to think about is negotiation. Just because there is a price that's listed doesn't mean you can't get it down slightly. So when you go to the viewing, and if you kind of agree that you're interested with the landlord, you can then message them and try and get it down by, say, £10 each per month. Just something small, and sometimes if they're really desperate for a flat, they'll actually want to sell it to you anyway, and you'll get the discounted price.
But guys, it's really important to go and actually view the flat. We found with a lot of properties, they looked really good on the website and what we wanted, but when we actually went there, they were a lot smaller than expected and they may be missing a few things, so definitely go and look at them. So with this flat, we did try and negotiate the price down. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that price that we wanted, but she did throw in a free gym membership, which includes the gym and the swimming pool for free each month, when usually it's about £50 a month, so that was definitely worth it.
But that's it, guys. The main things are finding people to live with, preferably a couple, looking in the right places in London, and looking at the right websites. And if you do all of that and actually spend some time researching, and don't settle for less, guys. You don't have to rush to find the first flat that you see, because people often make that mistake. India made it in her first year, and she regretted it. So what you usually should do is spend a few months or a few weeks researching, find yourself the perfect flat, try and negotiate it down, and you should be pretty happy with the results.
So that's the end of our video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it, and until next time,
See ya!